And so she would typically show up at the Walmart parking lot here in Fernley at about 5 in the morning. The bus picked up around 5:15, between 5:15 and 5:20, I believe. She would sit there for 10, 15 minutes.
With Ewu, Casey Valley explains the incident.
It's really difficult to be hearing all the stuff that they're saying about you, everything that I am remembering about you.
Put your hands behind your back.
Oh, come on, I can't. I've got wrecked shoulders.
As best you can.
On the morning of March 13th, 2022, the Lyon County Sheriff's Office receives a distressing call from Casey Valley. He informs them that his 18-year-old sister, Naomi Irian, hasn't returned home since she headed to work the day before. He explains that he tried calling her multiple times but couldn't get through. He also checked and there's been no activity on her bank account. In an exclusive interview with Ewu, Casey Valley explains the incident.
And so she would typically show up at the Walmart parking lot here in Fernley at about 5 in the morning. The bus picked up around 5:15, between 5:15 and 5:20, I believe. She would sit there for 10, 15 minutes, whatever it was. And she would just scroll on her phone for a little while. And as far as I know, at that point, she went to work.
Casey went to bed before he saw Naomi came home that Saturday night, which was typical for them.
So the next day I wake up at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. She's not home, which is not unusual, right? Because she works so early. It did seem kind of weird to me because, I didn't really see a whole lot of evidence that she had been home that day, but that wasn't really super unusual either.
Right.
I started reaching out to her at that point, but I wasn't hearing anything back.
After not hearing from Naomi all day, Casey decided to wait up on Sunday for her to come home again. But when she didn't, he called his mom and Naomi's friends, hoping some had heard from her. No one had heard from her since before Friday.
And so I called the police and I attempt to make a missing persons report. The dispatcher said that the deputy was going to come to my house and take the report in person. Rather than that happening, the deputy calls me 2 hours later. He calls me at about 11:30 at night. And I tell him what's going on, and he's like, listen, I'm not going to put out a missing persons report on this. 18-year-olds, she's 18, she can do what she wants. You don't have really any evidence to show that anything happened, blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, this isn't normal for her, because if she didn't come home today, then she probably wasn't even at work today. I don't know what happened. And she's not answering any of her friends or anything like that. And all of her Snapchats from everybody, she used to Snapchat a lot. All of her Snapchats from everybody were, not delivered and stuff like that. So it just seemed completely a red flag to anybody that knew her.
Yes! Now!
And this deputy refused to make a missing persons report.
Stunned and disheartened by the complete absence of assistance from the authorities, Casey takes it upon himself to find his younger sister.
Are you bullying Teddy? Are you bullying Teddy? He's so little. My guy, he's so little. Look at him. You can't bully him. No. No. You can't bully the baby. He's just a baby. He's just a baby. No! Anyways, end of story. I have a 100-pound pit bull sitting on my lap and this thing licking my arm for some reason. And he's eating his own ass.
The deputy kind of got in my head a little bit, kind of gaslit me a bit about, she's probably fine, blah, 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 all this stuff. My girlfriend at the time, Nikki, she and I were talking, and she had the idea of, well, we should just go to Walmart and see if they'll let us look at the security footage and just see if she even showed up to work on Saturday. So that's what we did. She and I went over there. We tracked down the security people who were following shoplifters out in the store and told them what the situation was, and they were pretty sympathetic. So they brought us into their little security shack. It took us like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to just find the right footage, the right angle where she normally parked.
What he sees in this surveillance footage from Walmart makes his blood run cold. Casey knew where Naomi parked because he often saw her car in the same spot whenever he would go to Walmart.
Video quality wasn't great, but I could recognize her car. She was driving a 1992 Mercury Sable. There's not a whole lot of those left on the road these days, but it's pretty distinctive even in a grainy video. I was like, and the time matched up with when I thought that she would be showing up, and I saw the car pull in there. And we're watching this at like 4 or 5x speed. So we watched the car pull in. I was like, oh, that's her car, almost for sure. And before we get the video stopped in order to slow it down, the car leaves again. And I'm like, what the heck?
At 5:09 a.m. on March 12, 2022, Naomi pulls over in the Walmart parking lot and waits inside her car. A few moments later, a strange man appears on the other side of the lot. He stares at her car for a few minutes.
Greetings.
Soon he begins to walk towards the vehicle and reaches the driver's side. Almost in an instant, he slips into the driver's seat and drives out of the parking lot. Disturbingly, Naomi doesn't get out of the vehicle at any point in the footage. Utterly consumed by panic, Casey immediately calls the sheriff's office once again and informs them about the surveillance footage.
At that point, I call the dispatcher again, and I tell them that I have, potential evidence of kidnapping of my sister. And they send the same deputy that I talked to the night before on the phone. And he shows up about 20 minutes later. And at this point, we have some more video identified. And we have, video of the guy standing there looking out from the sidewalk and circling around and going into her car. The police officer sits there and looks at it. And he says, I don't know. This looks like a drug deal to me. I was like, my sister did not do drugs, and he was just trying to cover his own ass, right? Because he didn't take my report the night before. Basically, he tells me, well, I'm not going to file a missing persons report right now still, but we'll put out a bolo and be on the lookout for her car. I was like, okay. I'm not really happy with that, but if that's what you're going to do, that's what you're going to do.
Despite finding compelling evidence that proves his sister is in grave danger, Casey's repeated pleas for help are not taken seriously, leaving him in absolute despair and isolation.
Basically, I felt so alone, I felt so isolated. I felt like kind of betrayed by the sheriff's department. I felt very scared about what happened to my sister, and I just really couldn't process what was going on at all.
On the other hand, Naomi's and Casey's parents, who were in Africa at the time, struggled to cope with the news. In an exclusive interview with Iwu, Naomi's mother, Diana Arian, shares how they tried their best to help Casey find Naomi.
Early Monday morning, before even it was light, my husband came upstairs because he was getting ready to go to work. My husband came upstairs in tears, and he said that Naomi had been kidnapped. And immediately I was like, what? What are you talking? What? And he said, Casey just called. He saw on a surveillance video someone take Naomi in her car. And then we were holding each other, and we were crying, and we were asking each other, what do we do? What do we do? Because we're in Africa. We're halfway around the world. And one of my husband's coworkers, one of our friends, was is an FBI agent. And my immediate instinct was to call him. So that's what I did. I immediately got on the phone and called our friends, and I was not in a state I couldn't really speak. So I handed the phone to my husband.
Naomi and Casey's father went to the U.S. Embassy in Pretoria, South Africa, where he was working at the time and was able to get an emergency flight to the United States that day. As Casey's father flies into the country, his conversation with the FBI reaps some positive results, as they seem to be taking the case quite seriously.
So the next day, I get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I just, and I have like a spotlight, and I'm just driving all the roads out in the desert near Fernley, just looking for any trace of her car. At about 9:30 in the morning, I get a call from Playin County Sheriff's Department, a detective. He assures me that they're taking the matter very seriously. The missing persons report has been filed at this point, and they have every spare person on force out looking for my sister's car.
2 days after Naomi went missing, the investigators finally take up the case in earnest. They begin with the video Casey found at Walmart. After carefully examining the surveillance footage multiple times, a triangulation and recreation method is used to determine that the person getting into the car with Naomi is between 6 and 6 feet 3 inches in height. They also identify that the suspect was wearing a pair of blue jeans, a light-colored hooded sweatshirt, and a face mask that morning. However, since he stood on the other side of the camera, they're unable to see his face or many other details. Naomi's phone number is run through the police database, but there aren't any location pings as it had been turned off. With only one hazy CCTV video footage and a suspect they're unable to identify, the investigators begin by running a thorough background check into Naomi Arian's life. Casey assists by sharing everything about Naomi and his family. Including Naomi, he has 6 siblings who moved to the United States only a year ago after living in sheltered communities in Russia, Germany, and South Africa as a result of their father's job with the State Department.
So she kind of just wanted to come over here and get a feel for what it was really like to be in America and what it was like to be an adult.
I was gonna move out, but then my brother was like, oh, what if you just pay me and rent out the rooms in the house and then you can live here? Ooh. And I'm like, oh, that actually sounds pretty sick, I'm not gonna lie. And I would get to stay here. It's a place where I'm comfortable, a neighborhood that I know, easy to get to my work, It's a pretty good deal. It'll be interesting.
Kind of get away from the parents, have a little bit of freedom. And the first thing she did before she even really got here, actually, was get a job. And she started working for Panasonic.
To find out more, the investigators dispatched some officers to mark out her regular work route. They examined the surveillance recordings from various stores along the route, hoping to identify any peculiar incidents. Although they observe no apparent suspicious behavior, they make a significant discovery while reviewing the footage from a gas station where Naomi had stopped by to purchase snacks on her way to work. In the footage, she's seen wearing a gray sweater paired with a blue Panasonic t-shirt and gray joggers. The officers take a screenshot of Naomi from the store and submit it to the investigators. This picture potentially marks the last time she was seen before the kidnapping. The investigators release Naomi's details with the picture to the media and request everyone to be on the lookout for the missing 18-year-old. As word of Naomi's kidnapping spreads, Casey sets up several search parties to help find her, and the community in Fernley steps up to assist the family.
The ladies in the local area in my son's neighborhood established a meal train, so we had meals made for us. So our job was to find her, and that was our full-time job. And my husband was out there with the FBI every day, and my son was out there searching the desert every day. We didn't stop.
Despite releasing Naomi's picture and details, the investigators failed to discover any substantial leads. That is, until they comb through the devices she used. Here they find the first hint of a lead. Naomi went on a date with an unknown man a day before she vanished. Naomi had told Casey that she'd visited a thrift store with the man and everything seemed normal, but maybe it hadn't been as innocuous as she thought. Investigators also find out that Naomi had previously complained about being harassed at work. Managers from Naomi's workplace state that they knew about her allegations and had resolved the matter internally. Eventually, it's concluded that this line of inquiry is another dead end. It's around this point that the Lyon County detectives drop a bombshell.
Have you approached it at all?
So I went up to it just to make sure nobody was in it, and that's it.
All right. Did you see any shoe impressions?
No, so I did walk around it just to look at all angles, make sure nobody was in, like tucked in or anything. But I was just driving all over looking for it, and as I was getting off here, I saw it sitting there.
They'd found Naomi's car abandoned in a dirt lot near a paint manufacturing company, just half a mile away from the place of her kidnapping. While this was a huge discovery, there was still no sign of Naomi or her abductor. Still, hope is not lost as the area where Naomi's car was found had several stores with CCTV. The detectives request surveillance footage from all nearby businesses and begin to review hours of footage from the day of Naomi's kidnapping. They soon find that some of the surveillance had actually captured a spine-chilling incident from the afternoon following Naomi's kidnapping. Naomi's car can be seen on the road nearby and later parked in the dirt lot at 3:30 p.m., 10 hours after her kidnapping. An unknown suspect gets out of Naomi's car and walks on the road. A short time later, at 4:12 p.m., a gray, bluish truck drives by the same road and parks close to Naomi's car. The driver gets out, goes back to Naomi's car, and shifts it to another spot in the dirt lot. Then the driver leaves the car, gets back in his truck, and drives away. Investigators are still unable to identify the unknown driver at that distance. And even more concerning is that they don't see Naomi anywhere in the footage. Perhaps he'd moved her to another location by then. There's also another possibility. Is this man the same person as the one they saw in the morning, or were more people involved? Screenshots of the suspect's truck are released to the media, along with a plea asking the community to keep an eye out. What could be seen in the footage, though, helped to identify the truck as potentially being manufactured by Chevrolet. With little else to go on, the investigators visit multiple Chevrolet dealerships in the area to learn more about the vehicle. Every Chevrolet dealership identifies the vehicle as a 2020 to 2022 Chevrolet High Country 2500 or 3500 model, with possible color variations in either a metallic blue or metallic gray. The Nevada Department of Motor Vehicles then sent a list of the same make and model of the vehicles that are in western Nevada. Though at first disheartened to see the list contains hundreds of trucks, an analysis team soon eliminate vehicles that don't match the footage. As the list of the trucks grows shorter, the investigators start verifying where the license plate numbers are registered. One of these addresses piques the investigating team's interest. As compared to the other addresses, it looks run down, leaving the investigators to wonder how someone from the residence could afford a $60,000 to $80,000 vehicle. They soon find out that the truck is registered to Troy Driver, and a search of his name through police databases reveals a daunting array of information. Troy Driver had a substantial criminal history that dates back to 1994. It started with animal cruelty at age 14 and turned into a 15-year jail time for assault, burglary, and armed robbery in his later years. He was also a suspect in an assault case out of Elko County in Nevada. Moreover, his height aligned with the potential range of the suspect's height in Naomi's kidnapping case. Based on his criminal history and the truck, Troy Driver immediately becomes a person of interest in the case. He lives with his girlfriend Zulema Silas and her children, and works at a mining company. Checking his girlfriend's Facebook, they find pictures of Troy, including one of him wearing a pair of brown hiking shoes that looks similar to what the suspect wore in the Walmart parking lot footage. With no other leads, investigators strategically place patrol officers near Troy Driver's residence to keep a close watch on him. The next step is acquiring a warrant to inspect Troy's phone records to determine his location on the day of Naomi's kidnapping. Troy Driver possessed 2 phones, one for work and the other for his office, and an astonishing revelation emerges. The location data for both phones indicated that he was nowhere near Naomi. In fact, he'd remained at home throughout the day. However, undeterred by this setback, the detectives explore a different angle by reviewing the activities on both devices. Their suspicions are confirmed when the report reveals concerning evidence. Despite the location data suggesting Troy's presence at home, there was a suspicious absence of any activity on either phone. This was inconsistent with how Troy normally uses his phones. All of this was still fairly circumstantial. There was no clear link between Troy Driver and Naomi Urian, but the pressure was on to find Naomi. While the focus was on Troy, another breakthrough emerges from the surveillance footage. The same truck seen near Naomi's car is spotted on the highway, and on the opposite side of the Walmart parking lot on the day of Naomi's abduction. The truck owner had been parked in the dirt area of the Walmart parking lot at 4:22 a.m. that morning. But this isn't the most chilling part. Not only were they there before Naomi arrived, the person could be seen pacing around as if waiting for something, as if expecting Naomi's arrival. Since investigators already knew where this person had left Naomi's car on the afternoon of her abduction, they then established a route from that location to Walmart's dirt lot, where the individual had parked their truck. Footage showed them walking back to their truck. And not only that, when the suspect strolled from Naomi's vehicle to his truck, he inadvertently passed right in front of the CCTV camera. The sight sent shivers down the spines of the entire investigating team. It was Troy Driver. On March 25th, a full 13 days after Naomi's kidnapping, the investigators take Troy Driver into custody.
I'll cuff. Just so we don't have to switch. Don't move. Troy Driver?
Yeah.
You have anything on you that's gonna poke, prod, stab me?
I've got a pocket knife in my front left pocket.
Okay, aside from that?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna roll you over on your right side, okay?
Yes.
All right, put your knee up this way. Whoever's going up to that building, tell them I'll come up with the warrant here shortly. Okay. Will you take a photo of that and then send that to Ty? Say, let him know one's in custody. All right, let's roll you over to this side.
Is someone calling you Nick?
Probably.
Try to answer on your phone.
You want to finish searching? Okay. Boss speaking. Hey. We just got him in custody. Yep. Did we get the keys to this vehicle?
I don't have any keys.
You don't have keys to this vehicle?
I do. Somebody took them.
Okay, but you did have them on you?
You had like the 2 bags with you? Where are the keys?
You guys took them.
Well, yeah, but are they in one of those bags or where?
No, they were on my belt. Flip. You guys
Okay.
took the keys.
Okay. He's pretty calm for having a... Yeah, he asked what it was for. We told him not going to tell him at this time, but you are under blah, blah, blah. And he said, okay, hasn't said much. Yeah, he wasn't asking questions. He was shocked just due to the abruptness of it, but not, not his first rodeo type. Yeah. So those are your truck keys, correct? Okay. Does that go to?
It's the chip for the office door.
To get in the office door?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why did you take your camera off and go into that truck over there a minute ago?
I didn't take my camera off.
The camera was sitting on the top of the hood right here when you went over into that
That was
truck.
to crawl back under and grab the tracker.
Okay.
That could have fit. Thank you.
Is he surprised?
I mean, that I think element surprise, but not overall. He's very calm demeanor. All right, due to the long drive, we're going to get you out real quick. We're going to set you into 2 cuffs, okay? So I'll separate your shoulders a little bit.
After arresting Troy and bringing him to the station, the officers get warrants to search Troy's residence and his mother's, and she's none too happy with this development.
Hello? Yeah. I'll let you get the dogs locked up and then we'll have a conversation real quick, please.
It takes all this to have a conversation.
And then this is a detective. He's got a search warrant for your residence. So who else is inside besides you 3 and the other little girl?
That's it.
Just the 4 of you guys? Okay.
How's it going, guys? Can we come on in and make sure there's nobody else in here, and then we'll talk to you on the side and we'll get what we have to get going, okay? There's nobody else in the house?
Okay. I answered that.
Yeah. Sir, could you come over here with me?
Yeah.
Rhonda, what do you...
Do I need to take it off to make you guys not shoot me?
Come over here, please. Come over here, please. We'll secure it real quick while we're talking, if you don't mind.
Just leave it.
Put your hands behind your back.
Well, come on, I can't. I've got wrecked shoulders.
As best you can.
That's it.
Ty, you good with them?
Yeah.
I have a CCW.
We know you have a CCW.
Do you know how many weapons on you, do you say? Do you have any guns or anything on you?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Rhonda, can we go talk, where's a good place where we can talk outside for a minute?
The back porch, I guess.
No, let's just, that's fine.
You're gonna trash our house like you did the other
No.
Okay,
Come on over here.
Of the search warrant,
As soon as we get somewhere, we're gonna have you sit here and look at it. Actually, let's just go over here by this trailer.
I've got really bad knees and I've been up all day. I'd like to sit on the house.
No, we have to be safe. I understand you guys aren't happy about us being here, but we have a job to do.
So do I need to say I'm not going to say anything about it?
Wait, we just want to we're not here to question you.
You're not under arrest. You're not a suspect of anything.
We're trying to explain to you guys what's going on.
Oh, we know. We talk to my son every morning.
Let's just stay down here for a minute until they get the house cleared. So here's the situation. We have a search warrant signed by a judge that allows us to look for firearms, okay? And we're going to seize firearms from this residence because we have probable cause to believe that Troy has firearms in this residence.
Oh, not at all. Okay, just shut up. They can go. They're not going to. They don't believe us. Nobody's in there. You think you're going to believe us if Troy has no firearms here?
Hey, can you hang out too?
I'm going this way.
Okay. After that, we need you to stay somewhere with us. Okay?
What?
Can you keep the 2 children occupied on the side for a few minutes?
Quick question, I want to know.
Sure.
Why do I take in our firearms?
Well, we have probable cause to believe that Troy has firearms over here.
But you don't. I mean,
if they're registered to us, you're going to take them.
Well, we're going to take them to the lab and see if there's any DNA or fingerprints that belong to Troy on any firearms in this residence.
Okay.
So if there is some, and you would tell us about it now, we don't have to search the house and tear everything apart looking for anything.
Good. Okay.
What do you mean? Tell you what?
Well, how many firearms are in the residence?
Altogether, counting the 22?
Yeah.
I
Sure.
mean, we got the rifle, the shotgun, and
we put them all locked up because we had the kids here. We didn't want guns out when the kids were here.
Okay.
And that's it. We have the one you took. We have your 44.
Yeah, and the
a shotgun and a 22.
Do you have any other firearms in this house?
No.
You're welcome to look. Just don't trash my house.
Well, we're gonna search outbuildings, trailers,
Have at it.
everything.
Okay, well, no, we have the guns because those kids are here. I got the shotgun, the 22, and a gun that doesn't even work in the 2-horse trailer.
Okay.
It's locked up there.
Okay. Is there any other firearms, sir?
We answered that.
I'm
There are no other firearms.
asking. I know you're not happy with the police
Okay,
and
but
about this
can
whole
I just
situation.
answer a question once? I mean, do I have to be?
Yeah.
I'm not unintelligent. I understand what you're saying to me. I
Okay.
answered.
And you have to understand that people are dishonest with us all the time. So
Well, I'm
forgive
not-
us if we ask the question
guaranteed
more
I'm
than
not
once.
dishonest. No.
Okay. Well,
And you're more than welcome to go search our house, but please don't trash it.
well, we don't want to.
There's no need to.
Okay, let me ask you something. Did Troy bring firearms over here in the last 2 weeks?
No. No.
Okay.
I haven't even seen him that way. When
No,
I
he
seen him?
came over.
Well, I was shooting horses. So
Yeah.
I might have missed him.
He came over and helped me with something. I can't remember something I needed help with, and that's it.
Okay.
He rarely comes over here because he's working all the time.
Okay. All right, well, let's have a seat up there on the porch if you guys don't mind, and we'll let these guys take pictures, and then we'll grab the guns, and we'll be on our way.
Not a problem.
After looking through his mother's residence and seizing his car as evidence, investigators bring in Troy's girlfriend, Zalima, and her children for interviews. To their utter dismay, though, there's still no sign of Naomi anywhere.
So we're gonna go to the second patrol car here, okay?
Are we like in trouble or something?
Were you actually like in the town?
Yeah, I wasn't, but I had my phone was connected to the speaker, so I was playing music, and like I thought it was just me and my brother home, and I thought I heard a bunch of yelling, and I was like, let me check just in case, and I opened the door, and they were all standing outside the bathroom, and I was like, what the heck? And they were like, get on the ground. Yeah. No, I'm just bored. No, I want my phone. Do you know how long it's gonna take? I have plans.
Am I really gonna get arrested right now? I'm really getting arrested right now. Wow. Wow.
I don't know if it's anything worth checking, but I cleared it. There was no visible bodies. Yeah. Nobody armed.
I understand that. We're going to have one of the investigators come speak with you right quick, okay? Yeah, they'll bring him back here, ma'am. Just wait back here, please.
Get over here.
Okay, just wait back here.
It's not the reaction from her that I expected if she didn't know anything.
Right.
So was she angry?
Oh, yeah.
At us?
She's pissed about the whole thing.
Hey, what's up, Troy? My name's Eric. This is Mike. We work for the Playin County Sheriff's Office.
What the hell am I doing here?
Well, that's what we'd like to talk to you about. Explain to you everything that's going on, okay? Your legal name is Troy. And what's your last name?
Driver.
Driver?
Why am I here?
We're getting into it. Well, oh, yeah, I'll explain to you. I gotta fill this thing out. Where do you work at right now?
I work at Leadcore, but
okay.
People just saw fit to pull guns on me and throw me on the ground in front of my office, so I'm probably not looking at a job. I really would like to know why I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll explain. How long have you worked at Leadcore?
2.5 years.
Okay. Where'd you get thrown on the ground at?
Didn't throw me on the ground. I was told to get on the ground in front of the office in Reno.
Reno? Okay, so you work like at Leadcore in Reno? Criminal record, have you ever been arrested for?
Yes.
What's the worst thing you've been arrested for?
I was arrested when I was 17 for armed robberies.
Did you go to prison for that?
Yeah.
How long?
15 years.
Holy, where at?
California.
Damn. 15 years in prison in California?
Yep.
Do you need anything to eat or drink?
No, I want to get going.
Okay. Can you tell me about any vehicles registered to you?
I have a Jeep, a 95 Jeep.
What color?
Black.
Okay. Is it like a Wrangler or
Wrangler.
Wrangler? Okay.
I have a 2020 Chevy 3500 Silverado.
A 2020 Chevy 3500? What color is that?
Yeah, what do you want?
Gray. And I have a 1982 Lincoln Mark 7. 81 or 82.
What color is that?
Black.
Black. Okay. Are you currently on parole or probation?
No.
Okay. All right. So while we're in here, you understand you have the right to remain silent, and you understand that you have anything you say can will be used against you in the court of law. You understand you have the right to an attorney, and you understand you have a court attorney will be appointed for you.
Okay.
Okay. You understand all that stuff?
I understand.
Okay. So have you been paying attention to the news lately, the last couple days?
Not really. I haven't been paying
Glad I can help.
Why?
I ain't got it. You don't want
Are
it.
you aware of the kidnapping case involving Naomi Irion?
Yes, I am.
Can you tell me about that?
My girlfriend sent me a Facebook thing on it, and I read that. She was kidnapped, and a truck that looked a lot like mine, they said they were looking for. Is that why I'm here?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, you said it, right? You have a truck that looks just like it.
Because I have a truck that looks like that, am I being charged with this?
Yes. Yeah, you're being charged.
I want a lawyer.
Okay. All right.
No. I want a lawyer.
Troy Driver protests his innocence and invokes his right to a lawyer, blatantly refusing to speak with the investigators. Still, they uncover that his girlfriend's family had a gathering on the weekend of Naomi's kidnapping. But Troy didn't attend as he said he was at work. To find out more about Troy's absence and his whereabouts, investigators interview Zalima herself. When she's told about the seriousness of Troy's past crime in California, she shares that he and his mother had described it to her as something much less serious. Investigators are hoping that Zalima can help them finally find Naomi, as at this point they still have no idea where she is, or even where to look. It's through this interview that they discover even more disturbing revelations.
But you know what? His mom stuck behind him after everything that he did in California, and he did tell me about that. Kind of. I didn't know all the details. He never was. He just said, well, they involved me and convicted me in murder. Like trying to separate himself from like the main thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, they involved me and people told on me and, people like, and that's why I was convicted.
Yeah.
And then his mom, she relocated and everything for him. And, she like the same story, like he's a great kid, but he was just involved with the wrong people.
Yeah.
But then the more I remember, like all the things like I told you, like he says and laughs about, like all the stuff that he had done, and then all the things that he used to tell me that he used to do when he was in prison too, and he's like, oh, you have no idea, I have bathed in the blood of men, and it's like,
Yeah.
and I was like, it's things that give you chills.
In reality, Troy had an accessory to murder charge. When he was 17 in 1997, his girlfriend at the time shot and killed someone, and Troy pleaded guilty to helping dispose of the body. But this isn't the only disturbing case Troy was allegedly involved in. In March 2021, a year before Naomi went missing, Troy was also a suspect in accusations of abuse and inappropriate touching involving his 16-year-old stepdaughter. While talking about the family gathering from the weekend of Naomi's kidnapping, Zalima explains that following the death of her son's child, she'd wanted her son and daughter-in-law to get a break from everything they'd gone through, and had organized the big dinner to lift everyone's spirits. However, Troy had a different plan for them.
When Troy got home on Thursday night, he said, so tomorrow, he goes, he's like, are we going camping? And then, because we had planned on going the weekend before that, but I can't remember what happened that we definitely couldn't go. And he's like, oh, but we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks. And then I go, I know, and then I go, but they're going through something, and I go, and I want to be there for them. And he's like, well, they can come too. And then I said, I don't think they're gonna wanna do that. And I go, they just, and I go, and then Travis is coming so he can spend time with Jose. And then he said, well, they can all come. Like, we can take everyone. And I go, yeah, this is like very short notice. I don't think so.
A day before Naomi's kidnapping, a deputy had visited their house to serve them with some paperwork regarding her son. And Zalima says that Troy had been quite rude to the officer.
And then she was walking over there to, to give him the summons. And he lowered his window and she's like, Troy Driver. And she just went like this. And she's like, oh, here's the summons. And he started pulling up the window. Like, she was still talking to him and he started putting the window up. And then he opened the door and she just left. Like, he didn't even let her finish talking and she left. And then he got out of the truck, and then he walked in and I was like, oh, and I go, sorry for the welcome home. And he's like, oh, it's fine. And then he just went to where we have our desk and he put his summons on top of mine and he went to the room without saying anything. I walked in and I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, he had a plastic bag of Boot Barn, and he had already put a pair of insulated pants in there, and he was getting something else, and he was putting it in there. And I go, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm going camping, he said. And I was like, oh, and I was like, the kids are coming tomorrow. He's like, well, I'm going camping. And I was like, okay. I turned around and I got out of the room, and I was a little bit upset that he would leave.
Yeah.
And because he's always has been so supportive and like with anything like that, he always wants to do whatever he can to make everyone feel like better or fix it for them or whatever. And the time it was just he didn't care.
Since Troy presumably left for camping alone, he had no verifiable alibi. But that wasn't all. Zulema also shared a chilling story. The couple had a surveillance camera in their garage. Zulema's son had apparently boasted about catching a drink without spilling anything off the tailgate of the truck in their garage, and she'd reviewed the footage. But when she went to see it again, it had been erased. The only person who could have erased it was Troy. However, he'd forgotten to delete one clip when he returned from camping.
And that video, for some reason, he didn't delete it. It's right there. I was looking at it. He gets home at 7:55 on the 12th.
Okay.
Exactly 7:55. Okay. And something that he never does. And I went through all the footage and everything. He has always told me that wherever we are, he never walks with his hands in his pockets because he says, in prison, you always have to be ready for someone to attack you and to defend yourself. So he learned not to, do that. He gets out of his truck and he's walking when he gets home, and he has his hands in his pocket and his head is down.
That coin purse
And
for
when
ya?
he gets in front of my Subaru, he starts turning and then he just goes like this. And he looks like really sad, really worried, like really, I've never seen him like that. Like his body language is like so, and you can see him when he's coming up, and I'll show you if you want, when he's coming up the steps of the house, he looks like he's having trouble, like he's very tired.
But there was more. For the first time since they'd been together, Troy had showered by himself after returning home that weekend.
And then he got up and he said, I'm gonna empty out the truck, all the camping gear. And I was
I
like,
got what
it's
you
Sunday.
need.
And I was like, we can leave that for later. We have all day, I told him. And then the next day, he didn't have to go to work because we were gonna go to Alonso's court. And I was like, we have like all this time in the world, like, and me and him, we watched a show together, a series, Walking Dead, and we watch an episode in the morning and one before we go to sleep. And I told him, I go, let's watch an episode of Walking Dead. And he's like, no, I gotta clean out the truck. I was like, okay. And you can see him in the video going to the truck, and then he forgets the keys, then he comes back, then he goes back, and he locks the truck and whatever, but he doesn't take anything out. Like he doesn't do anything with it.
Coming in soon.
Soon after, Troy deleted all the videos that would have shown him cleaning the truck, something which left Zulema confused. When they'd recovered Troy's truck as evidence, they noticed that he suddenly had new tires, something that they asked Zulema about.
How long have you guys been talking about replacing the tires?
Since he got the truck. Since last year.
Okay.
He didn't like the tires.
So you guys have been talking about replacing the tires on both vehicles with your tax return ship?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when it was time to do that, who called to ask about the truck tires? Did he call or did you?
He called.
Okay.
He called.
So he called, he told you that he called down here?
He said he called, yeah. And
Were you present when he called or no?
no, I had walked inside because he told me I'm going to call and see if they have them. Because he wanted to do it right there. It was Friday when we came back from the dentist. It was around 3-something. And he replaced the tires. And that's another thing.
I want to see what date that was, Friday.
Friday the 18th.
The 18th, okay.
Yeah. And he deleted all the videos too of him switching the tire with the spare. All of those are deleted too.
And yet another shocker. It had come to light that Troy had insisted on changing the tires after complaining that the truck had a flat one. But Zulema claims she never noticed that, despite driving the vehicle for the previous week. His claim wasn't helped by the fact that all videos that would have shown the flat tire had been deleted. This pattern of deleting videos was certainly alarming. Troy was hiding something, but what exactly? Zulema had also revealed that Troy claimed Le Schwab, a tire-changing company's outlet in Fallon, near their home, didn't have the tires for his truck in stock, but the one in Winnemucca did. He insisted on getting them replaced immediately, and they made the long trip, just under 2 hours, to Winnemucca for it. Eerily, Zulema wore a sweatshirt that day that read Serial Killer Documentaries Chill, which represented Troy's obsession with crime and killers, something that would come up soon in the interview. With all of this suspicious behavior in mind, detectives finally bring the real reason they're all there, the still missing Naomi, and the hope that Zulema can help finally find her.
So, how about when you get hit with this kidnapping, how close were you following it?
Not that close. I saw like 2 different posts, and out of the 2 different posts, the last one, the second one that I saw, I sent it to him because I think that's the one that has a picture of the truck. And I sent it to the manager, and he didn't reply there. He called me back actually. Because it was like 4-something, and he was leaving the office, and then he called me back. And then he's like, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's that girl with my friend again. And I was just seeing how the truck that was like hard. And then like, no, I can't see it. I can't look at it while I'm driving. So I think at home I opened the post, and I showed him, I go, look, and then I go, and then because I had been driving the truck that week, I made the joke, and I'm like, did I kidnap this girl? And he's like, don't be joking at that. I'm insane. Yeah, and I was like, really sorry. And then when I showed him the other one, where the suspect is, when he's walking back, and you can see his face in the leg, and that's when he made that joke. It's like, oh, it looks like it's one of your people. And I was like, oh God, I hope not. It's like really bad.
They never spoke about the kidnapping after this incident. Zulema shares that once the pictures of the truck had started circulating in the media, she noticed Troy being nervous about driving it and had asked her to drive instead. It seems like Troy may have gone to Winnemucca to replace the tires because of his fear of being identified in connection with the circulating truck images. But Zulema still isn't quite done. She shares that Troy had a strange conversation with her stepdaughter. The stepdaughter works at an automobile company in USA Parkway, and actually took the same bus route as Naomi.
He was asking how we're going, how does she like it, and he's like, do you like better driving or taking the charger? And she's like, I think she's like, I would like better to be driving. I don't like being around people. She goes, he goes, but it costs too much. She goes, it's, especially now. She goes, it costs too much. And she's like, and he's like, oh, is there like a lot of people? And then, he had a, do you guys have it? Because for some reason they leave the Panasonic charger party there at the Safeway, but the Tesla one drops them off and it goes back. But the Panasonic, they leave it there. Yeah. And then he goes, so wait, do you take the Panasonic or you take a different one? And she's like, a different one. Like, it's just not there.
Do you ask yourself about?
Or not that I can remember. I was.
When did that take place?
It was evident now that Troy had been planning this for a while, but what kept nagging the investigators was that it still wasn't clear if Troy knew Naomi, or how he would have come across her. The realization that the man she loves might have committed the heinous act overwhelms Zulema, and she breaks down.
No! I didn't need him. Now I've got you all.
I imagine you're heartbroken, like, life was done, and now shared your life for them.
Zulema then went on to share a story about how she met Troy on the Ashley Madison website, and it once again confirms detectives' suspicions of him.
He asked me if I wanted to meet in person, and I said yes. And he told me that he was going to stop at Taco Bell, and he asked me where I was driving, and then he told me that he was driving a lead core truck, and I met him there. And
that was where?
In Winnemucca, and we drove out to Rose Creek.
To Rose Creek? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you know where that is, but it's outside of Winnemucca, and it's like the rural area, like past where all the ranches are. We went out there where there was cattle were grazing up there. There was a water trough, and we sat right there, and we were just talking, and then we went, like we were just talking and getting to know each other. And then we went back to his truck, and he told me if I wanted to go to Lovelock with him, and we can go, I don't know, have dinner or whatever. Because he was staying at the Royal, that's where Leadcore employees stay all the time when they had the Relief Canyon project. Okay. The company put all the Leadcore employees there. Mm-hmm. We got into his truck, and when we got in, he told me, he's like, you know, I could have killed you and no one would have known. And I thought it was a joke, and I was like, yeah, and I go, but you didn't, so I'm good. And we had it all.
You good?
No. You.
Safe.
These ones here? The office here?
I had also heard from Joyner that he liked to listen to podcasts.
Audiobooks.
Audiobooks? Okay. What type of audiobooks would you listen to?
The serial killer ones.
The serial killer ones?
And psychology of lying. In the how to beat interrogations, CIA, and like about the psychology of how when the CIA or FBI are interrogating you, and how to spot people that are lying, like stuff like that.
Okay. Did you ever listen to any of them?
Yeah. Like I was telling Detective Joyner, like that's something that even the kids, like, he would put the books, and the one that we actually listened to the whole book all together, the family, was the one of Daniel Keyes.
Daniel Keyes?
Yeah, he was the real killer from Alaska, and he thought it was so cool that he kidnapped a girl, killed her, but he kept her in ice, and she was in such good condition that she looked alive, and he could take pictures of her and she looked alive. So he thought that was really cool.
Do you remember hearing anything about that? If there was like money involved or anything like that?
Yeah, like he wanted ransom.
Ransom.
Yeah, and then he could post that girl, she was holding a newspaper, and took the picture and everything, and that's what he thought. It was so cool that the girl actually looked alive. He went online trying to find the picture so he could show it, but I didn't want to look at it, and the kids didn't want to look at it either. So that was like, I was like, no, I love her. She doesn't look scary. She's alive. It's really cool. This guy is really smart.
As she continues to share more concerning details about Troy's behavior, police finally get an idea about how Troy may have seen Naomi.
When he worked in Utah, he stayed out there for a while. He had a couple of women that he was with out there.
Okay. Did he ever say who they were or anything like that? Or
no.
I don't know how social media, did he ever have it on social media?
Not that I know of. But he did tell me that he met him on Ashley Madison, where I met him. And he told me that he had met a bunch. I don't know if he went out with all of them or he didn't tell me, but he did say that the two in Utah, he met them there.
Okay.
Now when we met, and then we actually started getting serious. After I met him, like I think a month after I met him, I deleted completely my Ashley Madison account.
Okay.
And I learned about that from my cousin in California and my sister. They told me about that. And then when I got separated, that's why I got into that. And then my cousin and my sister were still on it. And I was with him for about 6 or 8 more months after. And I don't know if it was my sister or my cousin, they sent me a screenshot of him still being on the app.
Now, did it show if he was active on the map? Or
It did.
Okay.
It did, and I asked him about it, and I'm like, well, why? Because we had said that we were going to be exclusive. And he told me, yeah, that was it. And I asked him, why did he still have the app? And he said, it was just for fun. He said it was fun to see the kind of women that wanted to be with him. He's like, but I'm not responding. He's like, it's just for fun.
Troy Driver's profile was active on dating apps. The detectives already knew that Naomi used dating apps to meet new people. Perhaps this was how Troy came to know who Naomi was. As the detectives questioned Zulema further to understand Troy's disturbing interests, they find even more reason to believe he's involved in Naomi's kidnapping.
Did he ever talk about if he would have done something, how he would do it?
Oh my God. When I lived in Guanajuato, I had 2 clients that I used to clean their houses for. those were the clients that I had for the longest time. I cleaned their houses for almost 7 years. The mom's name is, she owns a, and when I'm like that, double check. And her daughter is, and her and her husband, they own a crushing business in Guatemala. In December, they said that she committed this past December. Her mom, she believes that he killed her because he asked her for a divorce, and when I was going through my divorce, I told me, get your part, like get your half. So I was very upset when they said that she committed that. When I called her mom, she told me, no, I think killed her because she was gonna get half of the business, and he didn't want to share the business. And then she started telling me how, was telling her that she was scared and gave her different type of documents about how she was found and everything. And he told me, if that was me, I would have done the same thing. And I can tell you that he's not gonna get arrested. He's like, because they're not, you know, because I would have done the same thing. So that is the only time that he has told me, and that upset me, and I was like, don't tell me that.
Before the interview wraps up, Zulema shares one last damning detail. The camping gear was unused from the weekend Troy had apparently left for camping alone. The same weekend Naomi went missing.
And when we were in California, because the ones in California, there was one that we went 1,000 feet. And that one, he said, like, my God, you can hide a body here and no one will ever find it.
While every lead reinforces their suspicions against Troy, none of it leads them to Naomi Irian. It's now over 2 weeks since Naomi was last seen, and the situation soon evolves into a desperate race against time. In a bid to gather any information that could lead to Naomi, Troy Driver's arrest is released to the media in the hopes this will urge any witnesses to come forward. Soon after, the investigators start receiving tips from several callers. They receive a call from a woman informing them that a man resembling Troy Driver allegedly followed her to the same Walmart parking lot a month earlier. The woman said that she was walking her dogs near a highway outside of Fernley in February when she noticed a car pull up next to hers off the road in the dirt. The driver then tailed her car to a Walmart. If this was Troy, then it established a disturbing pattern of behavior for him. They also receive a call from an employee at the Relief Canyon mine who'd been a co-worker of Troy Driver. He informs them that a month before Naomi was taken, a heavy equipment delivery driver arrived at the mine with an excavator that was requested by Troy Driver. This employee spoke with Troy and noted down the address where he wanted the excavator to be delivered. This address was about 16 miles away and led to the Buena Vista iron mine. The investigators pay a visit to the mine, diligently tracing the excavator's path, which ultimately leads them to an unsettling discovery: a shallow, unmarked grave.
What?
On March 29th, over 2 weeks since Naomi's kidnapping, the hollow grave is exhumed and human remains are found. 2 days following this grim revelation, the medical examiners identify the remains as Naomi Irian. Initial findings from the autopsy suggest that Naomi was shot in the back of her head and subsequently shot in the chest after her body had been moved into the grave. An autopsy revealed that she had also been assaulted. The tire impressions discovered at the scene aligned with the set of tires on Troy Driver's truck, the ones he had before they were replaced. And yet another shocker, numerous witnesses come forward to attest that they had seen Troy Driver operating an excavator in the mine's remote vicinity all by himself about a month before the kidnapping. Chat records from Zulima's phone throws more light on this appalling twist. This revelation that Troy discussed the excavator with Zulima solidifies the fact that the crime was premeditated, with Troy having orchestrated every detail a month in advance. It's unclear how much Troy told Zulima, beyond the fact that he needed the excavator, and it's unknown if she knew why. Yet Troy Driver didn't know Naomi Irian. Instead, it seemed that he had meticulously plotted his crime and was actively searching for his victim. Investigators reasoned that he might have selectively targeted certain individuals and tracked their routines to gain knowledge about them. This theory held merit, especially considering that he'd arrived just a few minutes before Naomi on the morning he kidnapped and killed her. In the following weeks, detectives collaborate closely with Zulima to collect evidence against Troy. Despite still grappling with shock and the dramatic upheaval in her life, Zulima assists the investigation to the best of her ability. During one of their meetings at her home, Troy calls her, unaware that the detectives are listening in on the conversation.
And I don't know if you can respond to me, but are you being honest with me? It's like I've been going through the past 2 weeks, 3 a month. What?
These calls are recorded. They're going to portray you as guilty and not ever any other person.
I mean, well, how can you say that? Like, if you're innocent, like, I'm pretty sure it can be proven.
Or what I have frustrated right now. You're sick and you don't know whether or not I love you. That's really difficult.
Well, I am sorry. It is really difficult to be hearing all the stuff that they're saying about you, everything that I am remembering about you. And I want you to know that they've been asking me to talk to them, and I'm sorry, but I am gonna talk to them about everything that I have experienced with you. Okay? He's lying. I know he's lying.
In April 2022, Troy Driver was charged with murder, robbery, vehicle burglary, and destruction of evidence. It was confirmed that his DNA was found on and inside of Naomi. He was additionally charged with assault. Further investigation proved that after assaulting and killing Naomi, Troy had burned her clothes, some of his own clothing, and other pieces of evidence. The case doesn't end here, though. About 4 months later, Troy carefully snuck a letter out of prison to his now ex-girlfriend Zulima and her children, hidden inside a deck of cards. Allegedly in the note, he admitted to all the allegations against him and stated things like, "There's always been a terrible darkness inside me. Neither this situation nor any other was sexually motivated. Something happened that I can neither justify nor explain." And even more chillingly, quote, "The guilt is crushing. I didn't know anything about her until it was too late." He also stated in the letter that he wanted to end his life. Troy Driver was put on a watch, though he still made 2 attempts. Finally, on August 6, 2023, Troy Driver made a 3rd attempt and succeeded. Casey Valley and his mother, Diana Irian, both shared with us how they felt about the conclusion of Naomi's case.
To me, the trial was
Find, scan, save, repeat. Find, scan, repeat.
Stand.
It looked like there were goblins, a lot of them, green, ugly little creatures. I've never heard them, not even a hair on his freaking little head.
As bizarre as his statements are, the shocking exclusive interrogation footage we obtained reveals even more chilling comments and outlandish stories behind the tragic death of a 5-year-old.
Stop blaming me for murdering! You know, who said anything about murder? That's what it basically sounds like. I'm not a killer. You really don't know what I know, huh? Okay. Let's see how it is. I won't tell you anything else. Well, guess what? I'm not telling you anything else. I don't like recorders. I'm not much of a media person. Thank you very much.
This is 17-year-old Cody Metzger-Madsen. He's in an interrogation following the death of his 5-year-old foster brother, Dominic Elkins. In about 3 seconds, you'll hear him say some of the most bizarre things we've ever heard in an interrogation room.
There was an ice cream cone beside though that was kind of weird. It looked exactly like an ice cream cone. Yet I do not understand. It takes aim and it shoots. I basically had to go through a lot of ice cream to get through. I had to do ground smash, punching, good grief. Anything you say will be can and will be used against you in the court of law. I've read that actually on Batman before. One time when I went on in the ravine all my own, I also saw the same cloaked figure, except inside the ravine. And there was also a gun down there. It had bullets. I don't know who he is or where he came from, but I think he hurt Dominic. I hate that cloaked figure, whoever he is. I hate him for killing Dominic.
On August 31st, 2013, it was a sleepy Saturday afternoon when foster parents Don and Julie Kuhlman would receive the most concerning news a parent can ever receive. One of their children, Dominic Elkins, had run off after being injured and was now missing. The mystery behind what happened to Dominic on this tragic afternoon will unravel to reveal lies. Nothing in this shocking case is quite as it seems. Dominic Elkins, 5 years old at the time of this disturbing phone call, was being fostered by longtime specialized foster parents, Julie and Don Kuhlman, in the tiny town of Logan, Iowa. The little boy had only been with the family for a few weeks by this point, but he had seemingly been getting along well with the rest of the family, particularly with the other foster boys who were in the home at the time. On the afternoon of August 31st, 2013, after a morning of waffles and a day spent in the pool, the family had split off, with the father, Don, heading off into town with his friend to meet with his brother for dinner, and the mother, Julie, taking her eldest daughter, Rachel, and her friend, Dylan, into town for ice cream. The rest of the kids, Rachel's 12-year-old twin sister, Rebecca, the eldest foster boy, Cody, who was 17, and little Dominic, who was 5, all tired from the swim that day, opted to stay home and relax. Ben, the third foster boy in the home, was on a home visit that weekend and wouldn't be at the Kuhlman's farm during the weekend in question. Everything seemed peaceful and serene that day, but as Rachel Kuhlman explains in this exclusive present-day interview, this peace was soon shattered.
We lived out in the country, but it was like 5 minutes or so to get to the little country store to get ice cream. We left my sister, who was going to be like in charge just to keep an eye on the kids, and then it was Dominic and Cody. And we stopped at the front of the property on our way back to chat with my aunt. My grandparents, my aunt and uncles all live on the same 20-acre plot of property. And my mom received a phone call from my sister saying that Dominic was missing and that we didn't know where he was. Cody was freaking out. He's saying, we don't know where Dominic is. And she wanted us to come home. My mom wrapped up her conversation really quick.